All right, let's talk about your loneliness issues. So, this concept of loneliness is actually convoluted in your mind. You see, because the dictionary definition, the colloquial definition of loneliness is sadness because one has no friends or company. But the actual feeling, the actual sensation of loneliness is a feeling of being alone even when you do have people around you. And so, if you've ever experienced that feeling, where you're actually surrounded by people, but you still feel alone, then you realize what the true loneliness that a trauma survivor is experiencing is like. Trauma survivors feel alone, they feel isolated, sometimes even when there's people around. It's not a matter of having actual friends, it's not a matter of having company. It's a feeling that you are not complete by yourself. And thus is the problem for trauma survivors, because since it's a sensation, since it's all based on your way of thinking, the loneliness is not solvable. You see, so you can actually be in a marriage, right? Right now you're saying, well, I'm lonely because I don't have a spouse. That's the common one. I don't have a spouse, I'm not married. I'm 30 and I'm not married. I'm 40 and I'm not married. I'm 50 and I'm single. I'm 60 and I'm single. I'm 70 and I don't have anyone. I'm 80 years old and I'm not with anyone. And so you say, well, that's my basis for being lonely. And so therefore I'm sad and I'm depressed. You're having the sadness because no one's there, and that is what you're equating as loneliness. But sadness, the depression, as we've talked about, comes from the two situations of you believing that what you're experiencing right now is unacceptable, and you're viewing yourself as being powerless to do anything about it. That will spiral you into depression. You have to view something as being unacceptable, and you're powerless to do anything about it. So the problem is not that you happen to be in your house without another person there. It's not that you have the whole bed to yourself. The problem is actually it's the way you're viewing it. You view it as unacceptable. I cannot be alone. This is unacceptable. And some of us have it so bad, our spouse, our mate, could be gone for just a couple hours and we're already feeling lonely. Spouse could get on a plane and go on a trip, and a few hours later, you're already just going crazy. I can't take this. You're calling everyone. I don't know what to do. Because the feeling of being lonely is not because you actually are without another person close by. It's a sensation, it's a feeling based on your thoughts and beliefs. It's because you view it as unacceptable. And this is for a lot of reasons. For one, it could just be cultural. For you could have grew up in a culture where all the women were always asking, when are you going to get married? All the men were always saying, what, you don't have anyone yet? And it was just the pressure that you got from the elders in your culture is you are nothing without a spouse. To the point where you feel like I can't show up to family functions, I can't show up to dinner without bringing somebody with me. I have to show that I'm not a loser. I have to show that I have worth, that I have value to someone, because if someone sees me as being valuable, then everyone else will see me as being valuable. So we have that cultural pressure. Even in modern culture and mainstream culture, it's there. It's underlying, but it's there. That feeling of when someone else, a person has committed themselves to you, then you appear to be more valuable. So that alone creates a pressure. But when you've adopted that into your soul, because that's not based on any actual scientific laws, a person does not literally become more valuable when someone is in a relationship with them. They're still as valuable as they've always been. If anything, now they're less time, attention, sometimes money, because of that relationship. So a person doesn't become more valuable, but there's that underlying society pressure, and you may have culture on top of that that's really pushing that. Also, you may have come from a background of complex trauma. If that's the case, then you may have had caregivers that were neglectful of your emotional needs, that were abandoning. They may have outright abandoned you, made you feel like you were worthless. Or they may have been abusive and harsh toward you. They may have been very egocentric and sucked up all the air in the room so that everyone had to pay attention to them. And so you learn to be like a caterer or a servant to them. But in all these cases, what happens is the child gets a perception in their mind. The child interprets that as, I'm nothing alone. I'm only valuable if I'm serving or found interesting or achieving or pleasing or appeasing or I'm busy or I'm developing or I'm creating. I'm only valuable on a condition. And the condition is, what do I add to a greater whole? I'm just a piece of this family. And that's the brainwashing that comes from many abusive families. Is we're a family. The family is everything. So therefore you are nothing. Subtext. And so a person grows up feeling like I'm nothing without either a family of my own or when I'm not a part of my family of origin. That's actually not true, what they're telling you. And what you grew up with, that mindset. It's the conclusion you came to as a child, that you are nothing without these other people, is actually false. A child, whether it's an orphan or it has a huge family of 30 people, that child is still valuable. Agree or disagree? It doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter how many people are co-signing on its value. Each child is valuable. They both are worthy of living. They're both worthy of love. They're both worthy of connection. They both have inalienable rights as human citizens. So therefore their worth is not tied up in how many people are around them. You would never look at a baby being born and say, oh, hey, that baby, he seems really sweet, but when is he going to get in a relationship so that he can finally be valuable? You would never say that, would you? So then why are you saying that about yourself? Why are you saying because, I don't have a spouse or somebody in my house, in my kitchen, in my bed, nobody's eating my food, nobody's taking up space around me, so that means that I'm no longer valuable, I'm worthless? Why are you saying that to yourself? I just want you to think about that. Meditate on that. And what you'll realize is it goes back to some programming from childhood. But you have to update your program now. You're an adult. So you need to make sure the things that you believe are based on the highest quality data and information that you have available. When you just believe whatever it was you came up with in childhood, that's not basing your beliefs on the highest quality data. So now that you're an adult, regather information and take a look at your life and ask yourself, is my worth really dependent on being chosen by some random dude? Having a male inside of this room now makes me worthwhile? Of course not. Or some random woman has to be near me for me to be a worthwhile person? They have to choose, just so some stranger's got to choose me? Of course not. It's the unhealthy beliefs that lead you to the idea of loneliness and viewing it as unacceptable. And now you got to look at your self-talk. So if you're talking to yourself and you're saying, it's because I'm not good enough. No one would ever choose me. No one chooses me. They never choose me. I'm not chosen. Remember that these other people are. Do you see the distortion in that thinking? I'm never chosen. Like, to be chosen by random human beings is what makes you worthwhile. Remember that these random human beings are not God. They are not the ones to choose you and bestow upon you worth and value. They're just folks, just some random people like you who are lost and have issues. That's it. That's all they are. And they can come into your life and they can cause a lot of problems. Think about your past. Think about how many people you've let into your life that have caused a lot of problems because you were so desperate to not be alone that you just took the first body that had a pulse. And you're like, here you. And then 10 years later, you're like, oh man, they're a narcissist. Or even 1 or 2 years later, they run off with all your stuff. And you're like, oh my God. Believe me, I'm speaking from experience. Having so many of these experiences, having a codependent mindset and being so desperate to never spend a moment alone and never spend a moment single, that you end up just letting any old body virtually be in your space without really thoroughly vetting that person. Because when you value yourself, then you're going to thoroughly vet the people. So that's where you got to switch your mindset. You have to ask yourself, not am I worthy, but are they worthy? Because you complaining right now that nobody ever chooses you, that's all false. That's all false. You're going to tell me no one has ever liked you? No one has ever expressed interest in you ever in your life? You know that's false. If you've been around human beings, there have been people who have complimented you, expressed interest, expressed liking to you. Furthermore, if I gave you 48 hours right now and I said, you need to find someone in 48 hours who wants to be around you, it doesn't matter who it is, it just has to be a human being, you could find someone. It's just that you don't want those people. You could go out and find a homeless person, a crack addict, someone in your instant messages from your social media, someone from your past that is abusive. You could find someone, right? So stop saying distorted things for yourself that are not true. Nobody wants me. I'm never chosen. That leads to depression. You give your mind information like that and it goes, oh my God, we better send ourselves some cortisol. I think we're supposed to punish ourselves right now. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed. I don't have any energy to get up, to go to work, to go to school. Yeah. You're depressing yourself with the way that you're talking to yourself. So let's make it more accurate. At this moment, I haven't found anyone that meets the criteria to be in my life. I haven't found anyone that meets my criteria that is worthy of being in my inner circle yet. And yes, okay, so you're in a relationship and they broke up with you. So you're saying to yourself, I'm not worthy. See, this is proof, right? But remember, that's just confirmation bias through an old program you have from childhood. It's not true that you were born unworthy. You were born worthy of love. You were born a child. You're not saying to that baby, when is it going to get a spouse? So the fact that someone broke up with you and they decided to leave, as much as it hurts, try to keep it in proper perspective. It's okay for you to feel sadness for losing a person or something that you feel was valuable. But your love, your empathy, your care, all of those things are energy. They literally burn energy. Not philosophically their energy, it's energy. Love is energy. It's a choice to pour positive thoughts, emotions, feelings, focus, and energy into a particular object or target. So now here's the point. When that object or target is in a relationship with you and you're pouring love into it, it creates a circuit so that you're getting some of that love back or you're getting some type of feedback from that source, and that re-energizes you. But when that target that you pour all your love and energy from breaks from you and severs the connection, how does electricity work? You can't send electricity out into a non-circuit and expect to get the energy back. Then you're just pouring the energy out into the universe, but you're not in any circuit where it's going to come back at you. See, so if you continue to love the person and pour the care into the person and the empathy into the person that has severed their connection with you, you are depleting yourself of energy. Does that make sense? You are no longer in a circuit with the person. So when you continue to love them and care for them, you're throwing your energy out and you're not receiving any of it back because they're nowhere to be found. They're not responding to calls and texts or whatever. They're not giving you the reciprocal feelings back. So you're wasting your energy. And so what's going to happen inside your psyche, your protection system is going to give you pain because it's saying, hey, all our energy is going out, but we're not getting any of it back. We're getting no return, and leads you into a depression. This is very serious. This is not just, we're not talking just whimsically here. Scientifically, 20% of the food you eat gets burnt up by your brain. If you live a sedentary lifestyle, probably more. So think about all of the energy that's being put into what you're thinking about, and what are you thinking about? Some person that's not there anymore, that's not returning their love for your love for them, that's not reciprocating. They've severed the connection and they're gone, and you're still thinking about them, and your body's like, whoa, wait, we're wasting energy. Stop wasting your energy. How do you do that? You're going to do a meditation. Close your eyes and picture all that love, all that care that you're sending to them, all that empathy that you're giving to them. And now that they're not there anymore, you realize it's dysfunctional now to give that to them. Just like that, it used to be functional, but since they have severed the bond, it's no longer functional. So you take all that energy and you create a circuit going back to yourself. Reroute the love back to yourself. Start to really care for yourself the way you care for the other person. If you would be giving them compliments right now on their looks, give yourself some compliments on your looks. If you would be asking them what they want to eat, if they need anything, if they need a massage, give yourself the food and the body rubbing. If you're going to be thinking about, do they want companionship, do they want to go out, what they want to do, the movies, to the restaurants, whatever it is, give yourself that. Take yourself to the movies and the restaurant. Pour the energy into yourself. Give the time to yourself. Single people get more accomplished because they're not wasting their energy or pouring their energy into someone or something else. When you pour it back into yourself, you can now convert that to creative energy and start really building your empire. You can start creating your legacy. You can start writing what's going to be on the lines of your obituary. You can start making yourself into the person who you truly have aspired to be. You can start reaching your potential. Pour that love back into yourself. All that empathy that you were pouring into that other person, now you need to reroute it and pour it back into yourself. All that care that you were giving the other person, you need to give all that care, all that tender love back to yourself. And what are the results? Well, you're going to heal from that broken heart a lot faster. It's natural that you're going to have some sadness still. But by using this exercise, you will diminish the sadness. You will be able to get up and go to work because you realize it's within your self-interests to do so. It's the best for yourself to take care of yourself. You are actually your only responsibility. And for a long time, you've been making another person or those other people your responsibility. Whether we're talking kids, spouse, it doesn't matter. They're gone now. Even if you lost someone to death, they're gone. So now you must reroute that love back into yourself. Ironically, it's only then that you're in the best position to find another healthy mate. Because when you stop looking and you start living your purpose, now you're in a position where you're out and about and visible and in your best form as to attract a spouse. Whereas the other way of what you've been doing, where you're just like, I'm going to keep loving them. Oh, God, it hurts, but I'm going to keep loving them. Oh, but it hurts. So where does that lead you? You spiral down. You don't go to work. You don't go to school. You lose your job. You lose everything. And you're just in bed. If you still have a bed. You're dying. You're not pursuing your purpose. You're not benefiting mankind. You are consuming goods. And all of the goods that you consume, all of the food that you eat, is going into your brain and getting wasted out into energy. You are literally wasting energy. You are literally wasting resources caring about something that you can't change. Start putting that energy and focus into something that you have control over. You. You control your mind. You control your body. You can create something amazing. You can do something beneficial. Put it into yourself so that you can help this world be a better place. Fulfill your other responsibilities and pursue your purpose. And by doing so, not only will you solve this loneliness, this perplexing loneliness problem, but you can potentially best find yourself in a position to reattract a spouse. Because what you've been doing will lead you to more of what you hate. You're just pursuing the nightmare. Start chasing the dream.